Who doesn't love gems? They've been prized since ancient times. They glitter and shine in a rainbow of colors. So it's not surprising we want to put them in a quilt. And with today's book, Gemology, you can. So stick with me and I'll show you how to do it. Hi, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Last year, I decided I would do a quilty book club. I said it out loud, I put it on the internet, and then life threw me two big curves. But I'm back on my feet again and ready to circle round again. So why did I choose Gemology? Well, who doesn't like gems? Those shiny facets and how they catch the light. As a lover of color, I just couldn't resist their brilliant charms. Throughout history, gems have had power. Not just the outward show of wealth and status, but iconic power of success and talismanic strength. Gems also have meaning. I can remember seeing my aunt's family ring for the first time and just being fascinated that each month had their own birthstone. Gems are also forever entwined with marriage, from engagements to anniversaries. They can also be regional symbols too. For instance, amethyst is the provincial stone of Ontario. So with all they represent, it's not unusual that we want to incorporate them in our quilts. Gemology is all about transforming fabrics into facets through foundation paper piecing. Written by Andrea Tsang Jackson of Third Story Workshop. She is an artist, a designer, and a quilter from Halifax, Nova Scotia. You might have seen some of her previous work. The Here and Elsewhere Bee Quilt won her category at QuiltCon 2018. So first, some of the basics. It is a soft-covered book and it's 145 pages long. And the book is arranged into 4 sections. The first section is about understanding color. The sparkle of gems comes from its reflecting light off its many faces. And if you've watched my series on color theory, some of this will be review. But it's a very interesting insight on how your fabric choices should be different depending on your color background. And if you are new to foundation paper piecing, this is where she explains how to do it. All the tools that you need, all the techniques that you'll use, are all shown with photographs and descriptions. Section 2 is all about the gemstones. There are 9 different gemstones based on famous cuts. The heart, the round, the cushion, the teardrop, the trilliant, the radiant, the princess, the oval, and the marquise. And for each of these shapes, there are 4 different sizes: a 6-inch, a 12-inch, an 18-inch, and a 24-inch. And she has provided a chart for you to make all 12 birthstones with Kona solids. So you have a possibility of 432 blocks. The chapter starts with a chart of the fabric requirements and a swatch layout. There is a subsection for each of the gemstone cuts, which is easy to find with these color tabs on the side. Not only does she give you some fun facts about each cut, which is great for gem nerds like myself, this is where she provides more specific measurements and assembly instructions. The third section is about the projects. There are 5 quilts and 1 purse. The great thing about all the projects is that not only can you interchange the gemstone colors, but you can also interchange the gemstone shapes depending on your needs. So in the quilt that looks like an engagement ring, you can switch out the blocks to match another setting. In the family circle quilt, not only can you switch out the gemstones, there are various arrangements to match the size of your family. And I just love the necklace that can be switched 180 degrees to look like a tiara. And the last section is where you'll find the paper piece patterns for each gemstone cut. And it has the same color tabs on the side as you had in section number 2 to find them easily. This is my copy of Gemology. As with most books that I use as reference, I have put a spiral binding on it, so it will lie flat on my table while I use it. This is something that most print shops like Staples or FedEx can do while you wait. I also made another alteration because I knew when I would photocopy the pattern, I would be using a document feeder. So when I had the spiral binding put on, I also had these 2 plastic pockets put in. And I placed the pattern pieces inside. You don't need to do this, it just worked for me. The included pattern blocks will make the 12 by 12 block. By applying a magnification of 50%, 150%, and 200%, you get the 6-inch, the 18-inch, and the 24-inch block, respectively. So here's my copy lying nice and flat. I've taken my patterns out to photocopy. There's absolutely no problem in making the 100 size. It's just a simple control on your photocopier to do it at 50%, and the same with 150. You just need to be able to use the larger size. So I went to Staples to do this. The 200% was tricky because I found when I photocopied it, half of it was on, half of it was off. So what I ended up doing was taking one of just the 100% ones and cutting them down so that they were just the pattern itself, taking away everything else. And then I photocopied it at 200%, and that was fine. She has provided a test square for each size for accuracy. And for each magnification, the pattern has a corresponding 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Though the book has instructions on how to make the 12 burr stones with various Kona solids, there's no reason that you are limited to those colors. You can lighten them, you can darken them, and you can use what you have. So just using a pile of scraps that you have, just choose them in 5 different values. Take a black and white picture of it with your camera, and that will give you the values. I did the 200% round cut with the diamond layout first and was very pleased with the results. And although the sizes of my pieces on one side of the gem was the mirror of the other, the color layout wasn't. So you need to pay attention. This color placement is to imitate the light refracting on the gem faces. Next, I tried the Trilliant at 50% magnification. Now, I thought I was going to go bonkers working at this small size, but it turned out not to be too bad. Still working from my scraps, I chose a much darker and much smaller range of value color scheme, but it still worked out quite well. The paper piecing is fairly straightforward, but as the pieces come together, there's a lot of intersections. So try and be accurate. But to tell you the truth, this block I made so many mistakes in, and you still can't see it from a distance, so don't fret over it. Some intersections have 5 fabrics coming together, so be sure to use my high header from my sewing straight video to get over those bumps nice and easily. And no matter what the size or the pattern, eventually you still have to take those papers out. Now, I am sure your brains are just firing like mad with all the potential of these blocks. Just on their own, these blocks can be made into pillows or wall quilts for an engagement or wedding gift, or substitute any of the other gems for a birthday gift. The block can stand on its own, or you can embroider in a date or a special message. Check out my video on pillows for directions and some other ideas. I had the pleasure of meeting Andrea Tsang Jackson several years ago when she did a workshop at the Toronto Modern Quilt Guild. And through her trunk show and her teaching, I realized the potential for foundation paper piecing. Up until then, I had thought if you were foundation paper piecing, you had to do the whole quilt that way. But through her example quilts, I realized that a paper piece block could be the focus of a quilt and that you just piece around it. Or it can be a secondary focus to tell a bigger story. And several of her quilt patterns in this book follow that idea. And then I designed one for myself. Throughout COVID, my daughter has been living with her boyfriend and his family. which means she hasn't been living in my bubble, but another mother's. Knowing my daughter was safe with another family while I was caring for my eldest son took a huge weight off my shoulders. And I want to show my thanks by making her a quilt. One of her favorite things is this crystal light catcher. So I've designed this quilt incorporating the Gemology patterns and the birthstones of her family. I hope you also see the versatility of these patterns, which makes this book worthy of any quilter's library. I will link Andrea's Instagram and her website, Third Story Workshop, and of course the book Gemology in the notes below. If you have any other books that you'd like to suggest for the next book club episode, please put them in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my Quilt Circle interview with Chris English from A Full English, and my last video, 10 Gifts for the Quilter 2020. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell by the subscribe button so that YouTube will notify you when I make new videos. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Just Get It Done Quilts. And of course, my website at justgetitdonequilts.com. So take care, and I'll see you next time.